the not so mighty Quinn. Let's open the black book. Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to another thrilling edition of the Fantasy Black Book. Black. Right here.
You notice every week, by the way? You notice every
week. I can't even where we are or what we're doing. Your intro, your name. Is this like a bet you guys have how fast you can cut me off?
No, we're just trying to get something in.
Before I come on to the show, I feel like you're like, all right, so this is what we're going to do. You try to interrupt him right before he even says
did do it last week, so it was Welsh's turn.
You are right about that. It was rightfully my turn. All I wanted to say was, if we notice that I just throw one like black in there, and you guys are still for like 20 episodes in, you're like black, 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 like chickens, black, 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 black.
Well, change it up. Than when we were turkey. Well, no, sometimes remember I had a phase where I was like, guess name that tune, where I was doing, black, black and things like that, of different songs, and some people were starting to catch on with it. But yeah, I mean, look, if you're saying that this marriage is getting stale, then I want to listen to you. I want to take that in, and I want to try to make you happy in this relationship.
I'm saying change it up a little bit, Joe. I'm saying try new things.
On to couples counseling, like, is that a thing?
Well, podcast hosts and couple counseling?
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody could pull it off, the three of us would be that's a show right there. Can we just do a show? Oh my God, that's
a couple counselor in here to evaluate us.
And in case you're wondering who the hell these people are, that's Chris Welsh, that's Scott Bogman, and it's me, Joe Pisapia, and we're here on the In This League podcast network. I mean, I'm trying to pop the In This League for God's sakes. It's your whole network. I'm just a guest. I'm just a lowly guest here.
Hey, you're Mr. Black Book, as it says on the video. Because these videos are now available on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/inthisleague. You can recatch the episodes. It's usually about a day after they pop on the podcast, and you will see right down there below says Mr. Black Book at Joe Pisapia 17. I like it.
He's only Mr. Black Book because Mr. Worldwide was taken.
So. MBB, we'll call you. MBB.
Yeah, that's right. MBB in the Hayos. Now, look. A lot of crazy things yesterday, a couple of big upsets, and then a very upsetting injury. So let's start with the upsetting injury, and that's the biggest news probably, which is the Dak Prescott injury. He's done. This is a terrible injury here for him. He had surgery already, so we hope that he's going to be okay. And Dak just seems like a really good dude. Dak gets a lot of heat. I think it's unfair. I think a lot of people will be happy with Dak Prescott.
He's allergic to Dak Prescott. So.
That's the
Are you allergic to injuries? I'm allergic
to franchise tags. Oh gosh.
I mean, he was complimenting the Cowboys and then immediately
and then
that's what happened.
He only gets it because he's a Cowboy, but everybody wants to root unless you're Tony Dungy. Unless you're Tony Dungy and your ridiculous comments. And then, like,
what did Tony Dungy say? I didn't even see that.
He said it's a blessing in disguise that Dak is gone. And he tweeted an apology and said that was a poor choice of words. He said, my thought was the Cowboys should give the ball more to Zeke. And that's probably what will happen now.
It was still a half.
What a terrible thing from a guy who talks a lot about blessings.
I was about to say, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised he used the word blessing in the whole process of it, and he misconstrued the whole thing. So, no thanks. No thanks, Tony.
I'm glad I didn't see that.
What a revelation he had.
Oh God. Well, look, it just tells you how bad the defense of the Cowboys is too. They gave up 30 plus points to the Giants, actually probably more because a couple of those trick plays didn't work out. They did work out, but then they got called back for penalties. So look, I mean, you won the battle here, but you're going to lose the war. Andy Dalton is more capable than most other backups. I think we can all agree on that. We all like to make jokes about Andy Dalton here, and it's because he's a ginger and he has no soul. But at the same time, I think when you look at the downgrade from other teams to where the Cowboys are downgrading to, it's not the most severe downgrade in the history of the NFL by any stretch. And he's never had a complement of weapons quite like this.
No.
So, she'll start with you here. I'm going to ask you two questions. The first is this a blessing? No, it's not.
I want to comment.
Will they become more of a run heavy team? And really, I mean, there's no helping this defense, but maybe that can at least slow the bleeding a little bit if they do.
Yeah, no, it's a great question that you brought to, because this was a heavy discussion on ITL, because how I looked at this, and I think where Tony was trying to go, but whatever word in his head was putting him in the wrong direction, he said really poorly, and then he still didn't really apologize in the right way, is that with the loss of Dak Prescott, it changes the offense. And Andy Dalton, to me, is in similar fashion to a lot of these quarterbacks we've seen in the past, where you don't want to let him just sling the ball. You want to put him in a situation where he's not trying to make all the plays. You want to make him efficient enough. And this offense is built around, yes, a quarterback that can put the team on his back like Dak, because I don't think you can just replace him. But Andy Dalton, I think, is the perfect complement to the adjustment they need to make, because Andy Dalton is just good enough to be systematic, where you design more runs, you don't try to have big plays, you get balls across the field. They have 3 amazing, capable wide receivers in the full capacity of the best 3 in the NFL. It's probably them. They've got one of the best running backs in the NFL. I think this is a good situation for Dalton, and I actually think this is something that could hone in this team. So I wouldn't say, hey, it's best thing. It's like, no, they can make the right changes to make this work. And like you said, this has the opportunity to take a little bit of weight off of the defense if they decide to go heavy on Zeke early on, and maybe even Tony Pollard. So I think the Cowboys can actually surprise at the loss, but it being the best thing that could happen, that ain't it.
All right, Boggs, do you think that Dak Prescott has played his last game for the Cowboys?
Oh, that's a good question. No,
that's why I'm Mr. Black Book. That's why I have a Mr. in front of my name. I think maybe he gets a 1-year prove it deal with the Cowboys again. I think he wants to be in Dallas. Will somebody else take a bigger shot? Well, you think somebody else goes, hey, I'm going to take,
I guarantee you this. There's no 1-year deal that Dak is signing anywhere. No chance in the planet that happens.
You're probably right, especially after
this massive contract. And I think it's with the Cowboys anywhere. There's no 1-year deal.
Yeah. You're probably right about that. I just think that if he's not getting the type of offers that he wants, if they're all 3-year deals because he's coming off of this Grizzly injury, I mean, it's already been said it's not going to be an Alex Smith situation. But I think that if he's not getting the stuff that he wants, he's probably going to go back to the Cowboys on either a shorter deal or I'll play 1 year, I'll prove to everybody I'm the same guy I was, and then go get a massive deal. I don't think he'll sign the 1-year deal, but I think that is in the realm of possibility.
I think the Cowboys sign him. I think, especially with
they should, but let me tell you, I think it would be a terrible move if they don't. But what's going to happen here? Let's project a little bit. Look at a team
Andy
like
Dalton's
the Colts.
Going to decide.
Well, maybe to a certain extent. But if
they make the playoffs with Andy Dalton, they'll go somewhere else for their quarterback, and they won't pay Dak.
I don't think there's any. I'm going to put it right now. There's no scenario where Dak Prescott doesn't get a big, massive contract at the end of this from a team personnel standpoint. Jerry Jones had that big weepy. We support him. I'm weepy in like a good way. Like he's a great guy in the community. We support him. We love him. You've got players coming out of left and right. Bryant was out there. Des Bryant, I completely forgot his first name for a minute. Des Bryant was out there. You got to pay this guy.
Wasn't Lane Bryant also out there?
I don't know where
she was out there, and she's like, I'm a plus size woman, and I love the Cowboys, and I'm just so happy to see Dak Prescott doing well this year, but I'm so sad. That's what she said.
What specific type of woman is that you were doing? That impression?
It was she's out there and she's living her best life. She's living her best life.
I was curious if there's any details on that.
I'm just saying, she's living her best life in plus size clothes. I mean, there's nothing controversial about that.
No. I'm trying so hard to keep it on the line here, and you're throwing the ball at me, and I'm just like letting it go out of bounds.
Well, that's your fault.
You're like Nelson Aguilar, just alligator.
I'm offering you perfectly good balls, Bogman. I wish you would.
And I'm passing on them.
In my mind, there is no scenario where Dak Prescott in 2021 doesn't have a contract extension with the Cowboys and playing with the Cowboys. That's
Here's
just
a
how
question
I feel.
for you. What if you're the Colts and you come in there after this wretched year of watching Philip Rivers play, and you got a lot of money now, and you could say, hey, why don't you come play over here?
What if running back Pittsburgh and Ben retires? I mean, there's plenty of those. What if you're Jacksonville? You don't get the number 1 overall pick.
You think Dak wants to play any of those plays? Maybe Pittsburgh, but he's not going to look at the roster or anything.
I think he wants to play whoever's going to pay him the most money. And at the end of the day, it's possible. It's possible that Dallas isn't that place. I'm just saying it's possible. I think it's wrong. I agree with you. It's the wrong thing. Other fantasy stuff.
Dallas offers him nothing and Washington offers him a giant deal, he'll go to Washington to stick it to Dallas.
Oh, I agree. There's no doubt about that. And look, the rest of this game here too, some interesting takeaways at the end here. All of a sudden, Michael Gallup got really involved with Andy Dalton. Keep an eye on that. We know Lamb had a great game. Elliott had a really good game. Slayton had a good game. Ingram was a huge disappointment on the Giants side. But Daniel Jones, I mean, 14 fumbles already. Has he played 16 games even in the NFL yet? That's a fumble a game, basically, the guy's averaging. This is
drops.
A train wreck. Oh, my God. You can't go forward with it. Like that. This is a problem. He's got to protect the football better. It's one thing to throw picks. Okay, that's part of playing quarterback. It's another thing every time you get hit or someone's around you that you just give up the football. That's a problem.
Yeah, and it's hard that in his 2 seasons that he's played for the Giants, Saquon's obviously going to miss the rest of this year and missed a big chunk of last year. You don't have your best piece, and we know that offensive line is coming together. It's not done yet, obviously. Drafting Andrew Thomas was a nice big piece for them. I still think Danny Dimes is the guy here, but he's got to start to do something to prove it. He hasn't been responsible for a touchdown since week 1. So,
and if they're at the bottom, or I should say the bottom of the league at the top of the draft, what's to say the Giants don't turn the page from Danny Dimes after 2 years? I mean, if you got a shot at a Trevor Lawrence or somebody like that, that's a transcendent quarterback. I don't know, man. That's a very...
Well, we just saw that hadn't been done in the NFL that much before Kyler Murray, but we just saw the Cardinals successfully do it. So,
well, Sam Darnold. Think about the quarterbacks right now. Yeah. Like Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Dak Prescott. It's a really interesting quarterback market potentially next year, or be a trade.
But I throw this out as well. You could throw out. There's a couple. Not saying it will happen, but Jalen Hurts got his first pass attempt this weekend, and it looked good. And Carson Wentz hasn't been great. Aaron Rodgers has been phenomenal, but you got Jordan Love out there. Just saying, there are a couple other veteran quarterbacks out there. I think Wentz is much more likely to be out than Aaron Rodgers would, but you've got some high investments on rookie quarterbacks for their veterans, and you could throw a couple of those guys that could be available.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick will probably be available too on the wire again. So he wants to play. Speaking of Fitzpatrick, my worst fears about Jimmy G came true. Now, I don't know if he's just not healthy or I don't know what was going on, but it was not a good look for Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers. They got buried in the first half of this game. Preston Williams had a huge day. Fitzpatrick had a huge day after looking like he was on the precipice of getting pulled for Tua at some point. No, they go out there and they upset the 49ers. Well, I'll try to be quick. I know you got to see your boy beat hard in this game, but
let me just say something. Jimmy Garoppolo's not good. That's the thing.
But I've been saying that, and everyone keeps telling me I'm wrong, and I'm sick of hearing it. And I'm saying to myself, no, they got on a good run last year. They got some good running back play out of Mostert. Defense played out of their mind, and all of a sudden, when you don't have Bosa up front, you don't have that same pass rush. All of a sudden, those corners got really exposed recently. Can we all agree on that?
Of course. Well, that's the problem. It's not just Garoppolo. It's the defense is bad. The offensive line isn't blocking, and I think maybe one of the biggest problems. And I've seen some. I went off about it on Sunday night, but I've seen some other 49ers reporters on Monday going with the same kind of narrative that I feel is the play calling is atrocious, and it is ultra conservative, and Jimmy Garoppolo is already a conservative quarterback, and he's just not a flat. He can't go through multiple motions and make things happen. If he goes through 2 checkdowns and the line isn't blocking, he's going down for a sack. He's not getting open. So you have conservative play calling on an ultra conservative, not good quarterback with a bad offensive line, a bad defense. 49ers are atrocious. Jimmy Garoppolo does not and should not do anything more with this team. They'll probably, I think they give him another shot.
It's another team looking for a quarterback, maybe.
Yeah, I wish they would move on from all of them. Mullins, garbage. Beathard, okay. Garoppolo, a waste of money. Just an absolute, just take your dollar bills and put them in a compactor and watch them go away. And the 49ers embarrassing. And Kittle is the most trustable option moving forward. Mostert is fine. It's just the play calling is so bad, and they give him 11 carries coming off of this. They still won't let him be the feature. So I don't know really what to think on the options in San Francisco. Debo's okay. It's Kittle. Kittle is the most
sure thing,
and Mostert's startable.
Sure, but Kittle's so up and down, and Kittle never has a lot of touchdown.
And Mostert's going to get more carries and touches when he's not coming off the injury. I think he was a little bit limited.
I'm just, but also from a fantasy perspective, I would rather have Waller than Kittle. I would rather have Andrews than Kittle. I would. It's not as a talent. I'm talking about.
I mean, Kittle had 15 catches last week.
He did, and will he have 15 catches the next 3 weeks? That's my problem with this offense, and this is my problem too. He doesn't offer the same touchdown equity as Andrews, and he doesn't offer the consistency as a guy like Waller. He's somewhere in between, And that's always why I never have George Kittle. I love Kittle. He's a wrestling guy, for God's sakes. If there's anybody that would be the biggest mark in the world for that guy, it's me. He's hilarious. He's a wrestling nerd. He's a great football player. But I look at the game log and it's like, it's there, it's here, it's there. And the quarterback play is always where I get hung up. And this wasn't the only upset, too, because the other upset clearly, who saw this coming? The 2-touchdown favorite Chiefs lost at home against the Raiders. And Derek Carr, Bogman, throwing bombs, throwing the deep ball. This is why they brought in Henry Ruggs, right? He's finally healthy.
Yeah.
And it's stretching the field. And when you do that, all of a sudden, this becomes a different kind of offense. All of a sudden, this was the first time that I've seen Derek Carr taking shots downfield, I don't know, since Amari Cooper was there, maybe.
Right.
And that was to begin with. But this was a very aggressive team. At the end of the day, they just outscored them. At the end of the day, maybe the Kansas City Chiefs had a letdown game. They had a lot of big games in a row, and maybe they didn't prepare like they should have. But hey, when all is said and done, they lost this game, and they lost this game hard to an in-division opponent.
Yeah, and this was all on the Raiders offense. I mean, putting up 40 points, against this team that has looked good, a lot better defensively. I'm not going to sit here and say good, but a lot better defensively. They shut down the Ravens a couple weeks ago. But yeah, this was all Derek Carr. I mean, and this is what I said on ITL yesterday is he hasn't been taking those deep shots, like you said, since Amari Cooper's been gone. He hasn't been throwing the ball downfield with confidence or really over the middle that much unless Waller is wide open. So, it was really great to see him taking those shots. He had nice deep completions. He had a 72 to Ruggs, a 59 to Aguilar, a 42 to Renfro, a 23 to Waller, a 23 to Ingold as well. So he's getting the ball downfield and a lot of air yards under that. And when it works, you open up lanes for Jacobs. They still did a good job of holding him to 3.3 yards per carry, but we did see Booker rip a 43-yard gain off. And that's probably in most scenarios going to be Jacobs. Just Booker was in at the right time to break one off. And the offense looked great. And when the offense looks great, the defense can pin their ears back and start hitting quarterbacks and stuff like that. So great performance by the Raiders. I have no bad things to say.
Yeah, I agree. I want to give the Raiders credit here. And, and I think you hit it there. It's like, let's not talk about what the Chiefs didn't do. Let's talk about what the Raiders did. Yeah. And they did a lot of good things. But they also did this last year where they played up to the competition and down to the competition. So let's see as the season goes on if that trend continues.
It's a real Steelers move right there.
It's a real Steelers kind of a move to do that. All right, we're going to hit a break. We come back. We're going to talk about a team that got a win yesterday. But really, how much momentum can we believe in it? You're listening and watching on YouTube, the Fantasy Black Book. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. So obviously, it's not surprising that the Cardinals beat the Jets. Kyler Murray got back on track. DeAndre Hopkins caught a touchdown, had a big dig in. He bounced back. Christian Kirk showed up. Chase Edmonds, who we've been talking about quite a bit, looked like he could be a flex play going forward. I think he will be in PPR. And Drake was okay, which is, I feel like Drake is never going to get above the level of okay. But Welsh, how much can we take out of this win against the Jets? Because after all, it is against the Jets. So are the Cardinals back on track, or is this just, they're playing the Jets?
I think it's a little bit slighted and weighed to they were playing the Jets, one of the worst teams in the NFL. Sure. But I mean, momentum is important. And I think that's a really good thing. And that's something you can take with the Arizona Cardinals. The momentum is Kyler Murray got back to high in passing. DeAndre Hopkins was making big plays. The thing that I would have as the biggest caveat here is I think Drake's success was more about the Jets than it was really as good of a back as he is. He kind of, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I watched every single snap of this game on Sunday, but in some of the time I spent watching it, Drake at times had a little bit of that David Johnson in himness, a little bit of sluggish. Maybe it's just because there's less holes for him to hit and he's more cutbacks, and he just didn't look as explosive. And I mean, there were a couple like in a screen pass, he was coming on the end around and he was really breaking it hard, but he just doesn't look like the same back, and the offense isn't giving him the same run, where I think the Chase Edmonds is the inverse. So I would have a caveat on Drake from the Jets. I wouldn't be all excited. Frankly, I would be trying to sell right now. But Chase Edmonds continues to prove, not only in short stints, how productive he can be, that I think as the season goes on, the Cardinals are going to need to rely on him even more, especially as they'll throw downfield and they can get him on, chop offs on the end. That I think Edmonds is, like you said, a flex option rest of year. You have to be careful about it because there is another back there, and the Cardinals are prone to kind of waver off. But I think Edmonds is not about the Jets, where I think Drake's success here was just about playing a really bad team.
All right. Well, the last time that the Browns were 4-1, Bill Belichick was the coach, and it was 26 years ago. I was just a boy. I was a sophomore in high school, I remember. And
you were a soft 32 years old at that time, right?
I was just starting to go bald, just a little bit. No, it was no, I had hair and had a lot of product in it, which is probably why.
Can I throw this out here? Is there anything more satisfying than knowing someone who is a bald person and finding the hair photos? There's nothing more
everybody seems to love whenever I post a hair photo. They're like, wow, especially people who've never seen me in my life with hair.
What I don't enjoy is Urlacher trying to pretend like we don't know what's going on here. I don't enjoy those.
When they made him wear that wig for Monday Night Football, I was terrible.
Well, just the worst thing you could do. But there's a real good satisfaction from seeing a bald guy like Joe and then seeing the hair out there.
Is it the same kind of satisfaction when somebody loses a leg and you're like, oh, look at that picture of them with the leg?
No, I think
that's crazy.
Not at all.
I think seeing them lose weight is nice. And
well, you got to hold up the old pants. I was just thinking everybody who's heavy, they should just buy really giant pants and then just say, look at the progress.
I used to be like this.
Wow, Joe, what a revelation. Not like every fat piece of crap hasn't thought about that on the planet. I'm going to get 2 sizes too big so I feel just a little bit better. That is the fat guy motto.
Crap? That is
the fat guy motto. That's what we do.
I'm gonna call. I don't think Lane Bryant, our friend, would care for that phrasing. Oh, she is living her best life. I don't know about this fat piece of crap comment, but I know Lane is not going to stand for that.
I'm speaking on behalf of the fat pieces of crap that are on the podcast right now.
What we do. All right, so let's talk about the Browns. Speaking of crap, because they are the color brown, and there's a transition for you. So they gave Baker Mayfield a clean pocket.
You're not even going to run an OBJ joke in there.
Yeah, there's a.
I
leave that hanging. Come on.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you these softballs today. What's the matter with you?
It's a dangler, down? That's for sure. So.
Oh goodness, I don't know how you come back from that. So look, Kareem Hunt was good. Dearness Johnson had one good run when they needed it the most. They gave Baker Mayfield a clean pocket, and he took advantage of it. And I feel like no defense is safe in 2020. He did pick up an injury. Baker Mayfield says he's going to play next week, but the Browns are 4-1. So Boggs, are the Browns for real?
No, they're not. For real. I like them. I think.
That's a silly question to Bogman.
I mean, look.
But if he says they're real, then you know they're real.
I guess that's true.
Right. Well, they lost to Baltimore. They played Cincinnati, Washington, Dallas, and then they beat this Colts team. And look, this is an impressive win against the Colts. It is. I think you have to give it up for them beating the Colts here. But Rivers also played his worst game of the year.
Which is saying something because they've
I mean, week 1 was pretty bad too, but like he's becoming Kirk Cousins. Like Phillip Rivers and Kirk Cousins are basically the same guy at this point in Phillip Rivers' career, where there's some games where he's going to go out and complete a bunch of passes in a row, put up some scores, and then there's other games like this where he's going to throw a couple picks, look real bad, and give the game away. And that's what happened in this game. So I think Cleveland is much better than they have been in the past 10 years, but I don't know that they are they're going to be a playoff contender.
I think that's for real. I think you're picking hairs then. Like if you see 4-1, you're like, well, they're not going to go 15-1. Like, well, no crap, they're not going to. But if the Browns get to the playoffs, that's real. I think that is a real successful team. So I think you're beating around to be like they're games. Not, but they are.
I think winning a playoff
5 more games the rest of the year, and they're 9-win team that gets them the.
I think getting to the playoffs is for a Browns.
I just don't trust Baker. I think that's what all this boils down to.
That's 100. The defense is great. I don't trust them either.
I love the run game. I think the wide receivers are awesome. I don't trust Baker to lead this team to the playoffs. I think that's my hang up.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I guess that you could still not trust Baker and this team can be for real because there are lots of parts to this sum here.
So let's also think about the AFC right now. Like the Indianapolis Colts are a team that is, offensively the dregs. I'm sorry, like it's tough to find offensive output from that team. Jonathan Taylor is fine, but I mean the lack of ability to move the chains really crushes this offense. The Houston Texans just finally won their first game. And I'm thinking about the ancillary teams there that are going to be on that playoff bubble historically. And none of them gotten off to good starts. So
if Tennessee gets to play any more games, it would be nice.
If they could just show up and play. How frustrating is it if you're a Derrick Henry owner? Like you have the one guy who's still alive in the first round, right? Everybody in the first round's gotten hurt. He's the only guy not hurt, and you still can't get him on the field to play because of the COVID stuff. It's madness. It's crazy. But yeah, I think they're close. All right, let's talk about that Sunday night game for a sec too, because this was a fun football game. I don't know if you guys were watching the basketball or watching the baseball, but I had them both on.
I had everything on,
and it was fun, and you could smell it coming there. Like you could see Dalvin Cook just running amok, and it was awesome. And you're like, wow, this is fantastic. And he had the incredible stat line. That's 17 for 65 with a touchdown and the 5 catches was all in the first half. They come back out there for the third quarter. All of a sudden, boom, you get an injury to Dalvin Cook. Kirk Cousins throws an interception. You go, well, here we go. It's going to be the Vikings now. And sure enough, it was. Well, is DK Metcalf the second best wide receiver in fantasy right now? Because it feels like he is.
Ooh, second best.
Because I'm going to put Hopkins at 1 because Hopkins deserves to be at 1.
Yeah. I think that's probably fair to say. I mean, I was going to just kind of go more broad range of like rest of season. He's a top 5 wide receiver without question. It's like not even remotely close how he is in the top 5. But, you're going to get Devontae Adams back. You're going to get Julio back.
You're clearly forgetting about Chase Claypool. I just have to
clearly about
we'll get to him in a second.
Yeah, I would say he's in that line. It's so impressive, and that last drive, that 4th down catch he made, the throw to him after he had dropped one due to the rain, and Lockett had dropped one as well, and then just making that catch in the end zone. He's just a monster, and you can go through any of the kind of big possession wide receivers, the Michael Thomases, the Mike Evans. He kind of exemplifies all of those attributes. He can get across the field. He can get open. He's a big bodied receiver. He's also not one of those big body receivers that lets guys bully him around. He knows how to use his body. He gets up, his hands are solid. He can get in open field, and Russell Wilson trusts him. That's a big deal as well. Russell Wilson trusts him. And as much as they throw the ball, yeah, dude, I actually think that's pretty safe to say. Top 2 or 3 wide receiver, probably rest of season.
I'm just saying, like I look at the Adams and Julio injuries. I look at Michael Thomas missing time this year and now punching people out. Like it's weird because I mean, nobody had higher expectations for DK Metcalf than me. But even if you told me he would end up as a top 5 when all is said and done, I would have thought, geez, that's an incredible season. But look, Bogdan, if there was 2 people this show and the Fantasy Black Book were on this year, it was Calvin Ridley and DK Metcalf. Those were like hand in glove, those 2 guys to start your wide receiver core. And if you did that, life's pretty good right now.
Yeah, Metcalf has been incredible, and it's just clear he's taking over. Even Lockett, Lockett's still going to be great and everything, but just Metcalf is moving into a different range, and Russell Wilson's comparing him to Jerry Rice, which doesn't mean anything, but it means that Russell Wilson really trusts DK Metcalf. That's what you take. You don't.
You're right.
Metcalf's going to be Rice. That's ridiculous. But you take that Russell Wilson loves this guy and believes in him, and is going to go to him in crunch time like he did last night on 4th down to win the game. So
he tried to go to Lockett. He tried to go to Lockett too, and Lockett dropped that opportunity.
Lockett dropped it. Yeah,
and it goes back. And there is something. And I mean to cut you off, Joe. There's something unspoken to watch for when you look at the trust in a team, and that's kind of a big argument I made. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but like where you see like Chase Claypool specifically, Chase Claypool in the game that he built this trust in game. He'd already started to build it, but you had Roethlisberger not just getting him the ball, but trusting him in situations, not just in wide open spots. That means a lot. And if you take it to a bigger degree, you find these receivers that are starting to change. You see it. Cincinnati is kind of doing that a little bit more with T. Higgins. You're seeing CeeDee Lamb kind of take that spot because he has built a trust in the offense, so they want to get him the ball. DK Metcalf is on another level that he owns that trust with Russell Wilson. And those are the type of guys, when they show you the talent and in an offense that works well for them, when they have that trust, you have a floor that is wide receiver 1 floor, and you have an upside of the best guy in the league on any given week. And DK Metcalf has that now.
And I think this is the reason you're seeing the Russell Wilson MVP numbers right now. You're seeing them because you're getting Russell Wilson converting those moments where they didn't convert last year. He had a ton of targets last year in the red zone, DK Metcalf. He just didn't come down with them. And we all knew, even if he just kind of outperformed a little bit in that area, he could be a low-end wide receiver one. Well, look what happens when he really performs well above. He starts catching all of them.
And the defense is putting them in a bad spot too, though.
Oh, and a bad spot, but in a great spot for fantasy.
Exactly.
Defense. I love you. You're the best. Good night. I mean, they're just terrible out there. And look, the Vikings defense isn't much better. But it's just, Vikings have a tough combination of losing the wrong games and then having a bad draw in terms of schedule. They've had a tough schedule here. We'll see if they can get going here. But speaking of tough schedules, how about them Falcons? Oh my goodness. The Atlanta Falcons, another coach and a general manager. So we've had a coach / general manager get fired in 5 weeks of the season, and a coach and a general manager get fired, which is a little surprising to me in the era of COVID, or as Chris Welsh likes to say, this season of COVID.
This season of COVID.
Yeah, you do it so much better than me. It's really good. Like, seriously, I want to emo out so hard when you do that. It's just so good. Awesome.
You wrote the lyrics and sent it to Sum 41, so it should be
great. That's how I make my money.
It's more of a 30 Seconds to Mars kind of tune, I think.
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto would love that because it's so topical.
Lots of makeup. He's just got lots of makeup.
So much eyeliner.
Maybe he wears a dress or something. He's like, this season of COVID.
Oh, it's so good. But anyway, look, the Falcons. I mean, they can't get worse, so it's just time to make the change here. Todd Gurley.
You say they can't get worse, but
I guess they can.
Is that true?
No, I guess
Raheem Morris is taking over. So
yeah, I guess. I mean, it's possible it could get worse. It's tough. I mean, the Carolina Panthers. I want to give them all the credit. We also talked about this, Bob and I, on the DFS show, that this could be the DJ Moore game where he kind of pops up a little bit and finally has the game you've been waiting for. And he did. Robbie Anderson was good. Mike Davis was awesome. Again, we were so Bob and I were so into Mike Davis on the pod this week. It was almost like a love letter on the line.
Yeah, we were fighting over who was going to get the pick first. And I picked running back first, and Mike Davis is my touchdown.
Oh, damn it. But look, I mean, Carolina's made the most of this here. They've won 3 straight games without Christian McCaffrey. We'll see if we get him back sooner than later. But I give all the credit in the world to Carolina. They're beating teams that they should be competitive with, and they are. But at the same time, with the Falcons here, I mean, Boggs, where do you go here with the Atlanta Falcons? Do you think they're going to move on from Julio if they can get him healthy enough to play? Or do you think they're just going to tear it all down here? Or is it just a matter of getting rid of the Quinn regime?
No, I don't think they're going to tear it down, because I think they want whoever the next GM is to have all the pieces to do that stuff with. So I think you're just going to see what you've been seeing from the Falcons. Just moving forward that it's things are going to change next season. I think they're going to get a high pick. They're going to lose a bunch of games, but for fantasy, they should be exactly what we expect them to be. You want Todd Gurley to score a couple times. I don't think he's going to put up 150 combined yards many other games this season, if any. But I think we're going to see, when Julio comes back, he'll be fine. When Calvin comes back, he'll be okay. The one guy I worry about for Atlanta is Hayden Hurst. Like, are they going to start to make an effort to get him?
I mean, he was open so many times in the end zone yesterday, and they just flat out missed. Matt Ryan just flat out.
Matt Ryan had a bad game.
Will this be the best game all year, Welsh, for Gurley? Is this it? Is this the peak, or are we going to see more Gurley? Because kind of like the same discussion we had with the Cowboys, right? Like, if you want to take a little pressure off the defense, how about you try to control the ball a little bit more? I mean, that's the best thing you could do. It's what the Vikings did so well in the first half of that game. They dominated time of possession in the first half, and then it all went to crap after Dalvin Cook got hurt. Madison was great, don't get me wrong. I know we didn't talk about him. We'll get to him in a second. But, Welsh, what do you think about them running Gurley more, or is this the peak Gurley we're going to see?
That's my hope. My hope for being all in on Gurley for the rest of the season would be that the team wants to alter plans. I'm not sold on it for a couple of reasons, because they didn't do it before. And also, what are they playing for? My hope would be that maybe they would want to try to turn this around. Who'd you say Raheem Morris is going to be taking over?
Yeah.
You would say, if you want to put up a good spot for your gig moving forward, you're going to want to win some games. And I think the key is getting the ball out of Matt Ryan's hands a little bit and not trying to make him have and make all the plays, because it isn't working. He's not making the throws like he used to. So they should. But Todd Gurley handle it? So I don't know where it tilts here between Gurley had this great game and do you sell now, or will they keep with what they've been doing? Because if they keep with what they're doing, I want to sell. If the new regime is going to say, hey, Todd Gurley is going to be a key to success to winning some games, so we got to get him more than 15 to 19 touches at most, then I would want to buy, and I would be a buyer on Gurley because the rest of the year, because he looked good. That's the other key. He looked fresh. He looked good, making cuts. He's making plays. I want that Todd Gurley to get more options, just like I want Raheem Mostert to, but I don't trust either one of those teams doing it yet. So I don't know what the answer is. I kind of want to lean, if I had to lean one way or the other, I'd lean on buying. I think the most sense for a coach to try to, keep whatever the last 11 games are going to be for them to have a future job would be to run Gurley. So I'm going to go on the side that Gurley is going to get the ball more and it's out of Matt Ryan's hands a little bit. So maybe there's a buy opportunity if someone just has no trust and only 15 carries for Gurley.
All right. I'm going to ask this question because we really should have spent more time on it. We were talking about the Seahawks, so we'll just circle back before we hit the next break here. So we'll see what the results of Dalvin Cook's MRI are. He's having an MRI today as of this recording on Monday. So we'll see what that ends up happening or giving us information on of how much time he could miss. But look, this is no surprise here. Dalvin Cook getting hurt is something we're all accustomed to. It's why I was kind of surprised they gave him any kind of contract at all. I just never thought they would. Madison stepped up in the second half of that game, had a huge game. So Bogman, I'll ask you this question first. Obviously, Madison's probably owned in 100% of leagues or close to it. So it's not
40% on Yahoo.
Oh,
we looked yesterday.
40%. That's it. Only. You know what? He was probably drafted and then dropped a couple weeks into the season. That's probably what happened. So that's all right. So you go out there, you spend hard on Madison probably. But here's my question to you is, this is that lottery ticket that people have been sitting on. Depending on how late or how long he's out, how aggressive are you on Madison here?
I don't think that Cook is going to miss a ton of time. So I'm not going to be crazy aggressive on him unless I am the Cook owner. If I'm the Cook owner, I'm putting 30% of my budget on him at least. So to make sure I have someone, I mean, Madison is really good and look great against Seattle. So, but they play this week against Atlanta, which is a great matchup for Madison, but then they have a bye week and I expect Cook to be back the following week after that.
Because of the way that schedule works out, let's say you have the bye week, you have the Falcons. Welsh, is this the best time if you have Madison to trade him? Like, could you get a king's ransom for him because of the uncertainty of Cook and people
from the
not
Cook
really
owner? You definitely should.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, is this a great, or even anybody missing a running back right now? This could be a great time to cash in on Madison that you've been holding this lottery ticket.
Yeah, I don't know if a king's ransom is going to be it because I think most people are going to know you're going to have a week. Your best case scenario is 2 because a bye week is coming up as well. So what I think this is the Cook owner or the guy that's sitting at like 2-3 or 3-2, and they're really desperate. They've got some holes. The COVID stuff is worrying them. It's got to be somebody that has a week 6 need, a deep week 6 need. And then I think you could get something relatively solid. Like you might be able to even pick, just throwing this out here, you're not going to do it 1-for-1, but maybe you could pick on a guy like Julio Jones, who has been very questionable. The Falcons have been garbage. Where does he lie? Maybe you can pull something off around Madison to do something like that. So yeah, I think this is absolutely the opportunity. And worst case, if someone doesn't pay, take Madison, because Madison's going to just be a full replacement of Cook. You're going to have high-end RB2 production in week 6 if you can't get the trade done. So just hold to your guns.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's do one more here. Let's talk about the Rams and the Washington football team. Look, clearly a good story in the sense that Alex Smith ended up getting to play. Bad story that Kyle Allen got knocked out of this game. Of course, also then a bad story for Alex Smith because he literally had Aaron Donald on top of him at one point, and that's a scary place to be. But good news is the leg is holding up if you can carry Aaron Donald for half a yard. But he got knocked around, got sacked half a dozen times. The inconsistent Rams, this was an important game for them. I know it's only Washington, but still, this was a good game for Goff, a very good game for Henderson. I'm not going to take too much out of it, but it feels like the best version of the Rams is Henderson touching the football more than anybody. And Robert Woods, yet again, I mean, leading the league in yards after catch, and he made another touchdown. I mean, that's a beautiful thing, Bogman, with Robert Woods.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are just crazy consistent, especially in PPR leagues. They're
double digits every week. They're just
I'm going to disagree with you about Darrell Henderson. He had 15 carries, 2.5 yards per carry though. Like, he had the rushing score and the receiving score. So that was nice. 18 touches is great and everything. But I still think they're going to be focusing on getting Cam Akers more touches every single week moving forward. And
that was the word after the game as well. The word came out
so.
that they want to get the ball in Akers' hands more moving forward, and that's why this. I didn't mean to jump into Bogman's thing, but that's why I agree with him, because I don't think Henderson got those if he didn't have those touchdowns, and I don't want to take away the touchdowns because sometimes that argument is wonky. It's like, well, he got the touchdowns, but if you take it away, he was absolute trash. Cam Akers was way more effective. This was an opportunity thing against Washington. I don't buy Darrell Henderson. I've been negative on him all year. I think this is the Cam Akers time, and I think this is the last week to buy in on Cam Akers.
Well, they play the 49ers next week, I believe. The Rams 49ers.
174 yards on the ground, 274 in the air,
and
he throws a
after
touchdown.
this, the 49ers then go on the road to New England. If again the schedule's changed.
James White, 36 catches, 462 yards, and Damian Harris.
And I think after that, is it Pittsburgh? No, it's Baltimore or Pittsburgh. It's somebody like that afterwards. I think somebody. The 49ers have a really these next 3 games. I remember being pretty tough. Like I was like, oh boy, they play the Rams and then they go on the road for the Patriots. I think the next one is Baltimore. I could be wrong.
No, we played them last year. So
who is it? Who are they playing? So who's next?
I don't know. They played the Dolphins and the Bills. Probably the Bills. That's who you're thinking of.
No, it was another team. It was another good team. I'm almost 100% sure.
Well, it's an NFC team. So because they play
I know that's what it's the Seattle Seahawks they play.
There you go.
That's what it is. They play the Seahawks.
Whoever it is, it's a win.
So those are your next 3 games there for the 49ers. Rams, at Patriots, at Seahawks. I knew it was a big time team. I couldn't remember which one it was. But so look, that's
I'm glad you brought it back to the 49ers. Thanks for doing that though. Thanks for bringing
it back
to
the 49ers. Break so you could cool down. When we come back, we're going to talk about the rough day at the office for Joe Burrow, which, hasn't really happened much this year, but still a rookie. Sometimes he shows it. We'll be right back with more Black Book right after this.
My safe word is Garoppolo.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Black Book. And look, Joe Burrow ran into the Baltimore Ravens defense. They threw a tough looks at him all over the place. They put pressure on him. And look, if
Burrow was saying Garoppolo in the second quarter.
He was trying to get his safe word out there. And
I'm just not having fun right now. I just want you to.
I understand. This is like that year. Just remember how sad you are when he got hurt and realize now you're that sad and he's playing. Just remember that.
Yeah, it's a great. Yeah, that's a great revelation, Joe.
Well, it is. It's like you're miserable. With or without you.
No one's going to cry for our franchises, by the way. 6 titles for Joe's Patriots, 6 titles for the Steelers, 5 for the Niners. No one's crying for us. So
my hands outside.
What are you singing?
I'm singing "With or Without You" by U2. That's your theme. You can't live with or without Jimmy Garoppolo.
No. I don't know a single YouTube song.
Well, now you know
like whatever that song is on every commercial.
The letter L? Was that song brought to you by the letter L?
Whatever that is.
Oh God! No,
someone knows that
copyright violations from the Welsh here. He sounds exactly like you too. That's what I hear.
What it would be like if a cat was in my dryer. That was great. That was amazing. All right. So yeah, it was obviously not a good game here for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, but hey, this is kind of what everybody expected. At the same time, Baltimore just kind of did what they had to do here. It wasn't like a glowing thing. Lamar Jackson is the 8th highest scoring fantasy quarterback. So are we disappointed right now in Lamar Jackson, Bogman?
Yeah. I think you are, but also remember he had the knee injury. He was questionable to start this game up until Friday. So when they got out to a big lead, you knew he wasn't going to take off. So 2 rushes for 3 yards. I think he'll be fine moving forward in the season. I'm not too worried about him. You hope that they don't have dominant games every single week like this. But we've seen them run into some trouble against KC and stuff like that. So I think Lamar is going to be okay. But yeah, you definitely disappointed if you took him high right now.
Welsh, the Houston Texans responded. They have the oldest head coach in NFL history, by the way, in Romeo Crennel. I did not know that till this week.
He's what, 73?
Something like that. He's old. I didn't even think he was I didn't think he was the oldest. I think back in the day, just everybody looked older.
How old is Arians? Isn't Arians like 68 or something?
Oh yeah, he's got to be up there.
Yeah. But look, Houston Texans finally got their first W. David Johnson had 17 carries for 96. We had Brandon Cooks have more receiving yards, 161, than he's had the entire season. He had him in one game. So is this the secret sauce, Welsh? Is it getting Brandon Cooks the football, being more aggressive downfield? Or is it the secret sauce just playing the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I think it's the Jaguars, and it could be Cooks. I will tell you, in my opinion, it's not. But I think there is enough to say, like, all right, this is a brand new coach, and this was the first game under them, and they went to Cooks, to say that, you know what, this could be a trend. I have a hard time believing it because it has just been nonstop rotational there. And they did a decent job of getting the guys you should in Will Fuller and Cobb. They had 14 targets between the two, 10 catches as a whole. But there's so much rotation that I have a hard time believing Brandon Cooks is on the uptick, but I wouldn't completely discount it. Kenny Stills kind of went by the wayside. I think this was just playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I think that was a big key of it. Deshaun Watson looked really good. David Johnson was able to hit some holes. Jaguars are still kind of a disaster though, but I know Bogman's a Cooks believer. I'm just not.
Yes. Yeah. So all right, Bog, same question to you. And then I got another one follow up.
Yeah, I mean, I like Brandon Cooks moving forward. I think they finally got him involved. I thought it was hilarious that, you trade for Brandon Cooks in this trade that everyone says is dumb, and Bill O'Brien doesn't utilize him. And the first week he's gone, they give him 12 targets. So I thought that was crazy. But it is, as much as I like Cooks, it's still going to be rotational. It's going to be Will Fuller most weeks, then Cooks should be 2, and then Cobb is probably going to be 3. But some weeks Cobb is going to be 1, and Fuller's going to be 3, and Cooks is going to be 2. So it is going to be a weird turntable. It's not like Devontae Adams or anything here, but I do like the prospects of Cooks moving forward. After the first game Bill O'Brien's gone, he gets 12 targets.
I think poor secondaries are going to work well in favor for Brandon Cooks. Yeah. I just don't know how much separation there is anymore.
And Jacksonville is miserable right now.
That's what I'm saying.
I think like both their starting corners out. So.
You find poor secondaries and bet on Brandon Cooks.
No, that's fair. One more question. Did we miss the sell high window on James Robinson?
Yeah, probably.
Ooh, you know what? At this moment, yes, obviously, but I don't think Robinson's done. They want to. I mean, the fumble was bad. It was a bad look. But such
a bad thing. Could you sing that in the U2 voice?
It's a beautiful fumble.
But I think that
you let it get away.
I don't think opportunity is done with James Robinson. So that's why I would say you missed the current window, but there's another one coming. So I wouldn't fret. I did. You know what? You want to know something? I traded in our 20-man IDP. I got this offer to trade away James Robinson, and I got Julio Jones.
Wow.
I did it. I had to do it.
Well, yeah, you had to do that.
But I mean, he didn't play this week, so that didn't help me. And I think I'm atrocious in that league, but got to make the moves.
You got to take that. All right.
There's some IDP guys involved as well.
Well, look, last but not least here, we got to talk about Chase Claypool and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Deontay Johnson got hurt in this one, came out, and Chase Claypool kind of stepped up there, and he became the guy. Not Juju, not anybody. It was him and a guy named Ray McLeod. Now, I got to be honest with you. Every now and then, there's a guy that I don't know, and
Ray McLeod is a kick returner that only was playing because Deontay got paid.
Yeah, well, like I've never heard of Ray McLeod, and all I can say is
with Atlanta.
It's my favorite name, Ray McLeod. Ray. I mean, that's just the best. It's really.
I can't remember where he went to college. I think it might have been Clemson.
Speaking of where they went to college, I stumped Bogman the other day on where somebody went to college.
I couldn't remember that Eric Ebron went to North Carolina.
I was like, just for fun, I was like, hey, where did he go to college? And Bogman went,
Well, you asked me about Travis Fulgham, who was also huge in this game, and I said Old Dominion, or I just threw out the pride of Old Dominion,
Madison,
and then here comes I did. Ben DiNucci went to James Madison. I get him and the FIU kid that the Jets took confused.
We used to play that game all the time. We had 2 games we would play.
Yeah, we've done it together, the 3 of us. And
I'm saying like
miss one.
But I'm saying like this was the game. It was where did they go, and we would go down the rabbit hole. Especially when we played NCAA. We had this other version of a game like that where it was like, Bogman, do you remember this? Where it would be like you have to name a player with their first name has to be the first letter of the last guy's last name.
Yeah.
If
you say Nelson Aguilar, now you have to say somebody with an A that starts with an A in the NFL that hasn't already been said.
Yeah,
So,
and then you
yeah.
have to
Allen
keep
Robinson.
Okay,
Right.
yeah,
Yep.
and then exactly,
Right.
and then I would go Robert Tonyan,
Yeah.
Right.
and then Bogman. Your turn.
I'd
Whole
say Tariq
podcast.
Cohen.
Right. And I would say, let's keep talking about the rest of this
Damn
game.
it! Let's keep playing the game. It's
No,
Chase
nobody
Claypool.
can. We can
Chase
play this
Claypool
game.
after Tariq
Chase
Cohen.
Claypool.
Let's go.
Yeah, Chase
Well, you got
Claypool.
stuff. So anyway, so Chase Claypool, there you go. So Claypool are probably available in most leagues. Let's be honest. So here's the question: are you super aggressive on him, or is this a one-off? Well, start with you.
I am going to be very aggressive on Chase Claypool, similar to what I talked about before. Maybe I'll be wrong about it, but the trust that Ben had in him, I know there's a lot of weapons, but Claypool was an absolute monster. And he did more than just catch open passes and burn guys. He was able to break coverage. He made some really good play on routes. I thought it was like DK Metcalf-esque, like the same type of stuff. So I'm going to be hyper aggressive on Claypool with a secondary on Travis Fulgham, because I thought Fulgham was as impressive.
2 weeks in a row, man. Why not? Right. So have the same thing for you, Boggs, or different set of circumstances.
I'm a little less aggressive as the Welsh on Chase Claypool, just for the simple fact that there were so many good wideouts on the wire this week. I mean, Henry Ruggs was under 50% owned still. LaVisca is still under 50%. So there's a bunch of good ones. So I would put a little less money on Claypool. Fulgham is out there. Obviously, I think he's like 2% owned. So there are some really good options at wide receiver. But Claypool is at the top of the list for sure.
Yeah,
After 4 touchdowns, I think anybody would be.
And I'm okay with that logic. Like, I don't know about you, Joe. I think I would go, I say $25, 25%, something like that on Claypool if I'm wide receiver needy, just to speculate. I'm okay if you wanted to go a couple notches down and then be in the $8 to $12 range on a bevy of those receivers. Go Fulgham. You want to go Brandon Cooks. You want to throw Henry Ruggs in there. Put similar dollar amounts on all of them and just make sure that you get one of them. But Claypool's at the top for me.
All right. And look, Miles Sanders really good this game too. Great to see him have a great game against a tough defense.
He had one big run, 74-yard touchdown.
That's big though, but that's what you want from Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is that one big run. That's what you want. That's vintage Miles Sanders. Is he's got 14 carries for 45 yards and he has a 50-yard run. You go, yay, Miles Sanders, and that's I think what you do going
most
forward.
Running backs. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but really a lot of him. That's definitely where that is. All right. That's all the games for Wednesday. What the hell? I mean, I don't even.
Today's Monday.
And
the games are on Sunday.
That's the thing. It's Tuesday night football. There's Monday night football. They came out with that schedule today, and I was looking at the schedule changes, and I felt like that part in Austin Powers in the third one when they talk about the time travel, and he's like, "Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed." I feel like that's exactly where I am when I tried to understand all the moving parts. But one fun question for you. Who was the last rookie to have 4 touchdowns in a game from scrimmage? Bogman, Welsh,
some dude in 1967, and
2012. 2012.
Ooh,
4 touchdowns.
2012.
I'll give you a hint. He played for a team in the NFL in the state of Florida.
Was it Fred Taylor?
No, it was not Fred Taylor.
No,
2012.
Yeah, 2000. Fred Taylor retired.
Yeah, he was already on his way out or done by then. Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
For the Bucks.
A rookie running back for the Buccaneers.
Was it Cadillac?
No, you're getting closer though. It was Dougie Martin.
Doug Martin.
Martin was the last guy.
Hamster muscle or whatever.
That's right. What was he did it?
Muscle hamster.
Muscle hamster. That muscle. That's a nickname. Now that, my friends,
he hated it. I heard he hated that nickname.
I don't care. It's just a great nickname. That's okay. You can hate your own nickname.
I loved Doug Martin. There's something about those small, bulky backs that every time I'm like, that guy.
You must have totally given it up for Maurice Jones-Drew, right?
Maurice Jones-Drew.
You're just like this. You're just like, yes, take me, MJD.
Garoppolo. I don't want to hear about Maurice Jones-Drew.
All right, enough safe words. It's time for the 2-minute drill, and it starts right now. And that's why you watch the Black Book, not just listen, because Welsh
I'm the girl at the Texas Oklahoma.
Yeah. And I wanted to text Bogman, but I was like, no, I'm just gonna let this go. I'm gonna give him some time here and need to let him calm down. But Welsh was doing telling Bogman that he's number 1. That's what he was doing. So here you go. Here's a question for you. Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, now Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry because he plays on the Titans, Julio Jones, Devontae Adams, Austin Eckler. Is this the worst first round in the history of fantasy football for the first 5 weeks of the season?
Might be. I know there's always revisionist history and stuff like that, and there's a recency bias to it, but I'm not sure there's been a more devastated first round that I've ever played in. That I don't know if,
and I feel like I'm missing somebody. I think I just went 7 deep, but I feel like I missed somebody. Did I say?
Well, I mean, Dalvin Cook.
I said Dalvin Cook. Yeah,
you did.
Saquon,
you got everybody.
CMC, Dalvin Cook, right?
Devontae Adams?
Nick Chubb, Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, Austin
Michael
Eckler.
Thomas.
Oh, Michael Thomas. I was forgetting somebody. So that's 8. That's 8 of the first.
Who the hell were you safe with? Who was safe? It was
Alvin Kamara, Zeke,
Alvin Kamara, and Zeke. That's it.
And Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, and I don't know if you even consider him safe right now. He's got 1 score. So
I was gonna say, yeah, he's not. He hasn't he hasn't been all that great. Yeah, I thought about it today, and it felt pretty. It's
got to be the worst. Yeah, I mean, you have 8 guys hurt, 1 guy not living up to expectations. Yeah.
But you want to know what? I think that is a testament to making sure that you've got the proper knowledge and making sure.
Well, that you went after, right? You went after Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Kareem Hunt. I mean, God,
no. But I'm not even saying. Well, you're right about that.
But this is why you watch this show, because
yes,
who we talked about any more 3 guys than those 3 guys on this program.
But also making sure that you're on top of those late draft before season trades and pickups. You know, the pickups are game changers. James Robinson was someone I kept spouting about for the last couple of weeks before the drafts, and he has saved leagues I've had. So it's also a testament to making sure not being like, oh my God, I lost my first round pick, it's all over. That's not how football works. Making sure you've got proper depth, like Joe's talking about, listening to podcasts, check out the Black Book, and making sure you're in on the conversation.
Yeah, not listening to podcasts, listening to this podcast, watching this podcast. Forget all those other stupid shows. This is the show.
Right.
That's right. That's what you do. But I mean, it's tough. Like, we are 5 weeks through the season almost.
In the streets, man.
And it has been the first round from hell. That's what this is, the first round from hell. I think we can all agree. All right. Luckily, you have us going forward to help you with to live in this hell with you and try to pull you out of it. So in the meantime, follow us on Twitter at Bogman Sports, at Is It The Welsh, and Mr. Blackbook at Joe Pisa PS17. Check out all the great content in this league and go join the ITL Army over on Patreon today. Do it now. Do it. Go join the ITL Army. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to learn so much things. For your head. You're going to get U2 songs that you've never heard before. You're going to get so many amazing things. It's going to be unbelievable. And again, you're going to get entertained and you're going to get great knowledge. What's better than that? Nothing. So for Bogman and Welsh, I'm Joey P. That'll do it for us today. Don't forget your safe word. It's Garoppolo. We'll see you next time, kids. Bye.